You are owed nothing. Self-entitlement is hardly an affliction reserved for the young. Leaders at all levels must remain vigilant against this subtle disease. In coaching construction leaders and listening to myself, I've learned there's one common phrase that indicates we're forgetting this primary rule of you are owed nothing. The phrase is, it would be nice if...
Put that coffee down.
Creators are leaders. Be careful what kind of leaders you're producing here.
Helen, we're both in sales.
Let me tell you why I suck as a salesman.
They realized that to be in power, you didn't need guns or money or even numbers. You just needed the will to do what the other guy wouldn't.
I'm not leaving. The show goes on.
Well, hello there, friend. Welcome back to the Construction Leadership Podcast. I am your host, Bradley Hartman. This episode is brought to you by Paradigm Estimate, a technology-driven takeoff service that gives you the speed, accuracy, and consistency it takes to win more bids. Spend less time on tedious takeoffs and more time on what counts the most, growing your business. Check out Paradigm Estimate at myparadigm.com/Bradley. That's right. My own name right there at the end of the URL. That is myparadigm, myparadigm.com/Bradley. All right. Let's jump in to the Leadership Die, a simple tool for leadership complexity. A client and I were evaluating the various scenarios and the potential consequences, positive and negative, surrounding a critical leadership decision he was facing. There were many angles to consider. No choice was obvious. There was no risk-free option. You know what we really need, he said? We need a leadership magic 8-ball. That would be useful. We could shake it up and see what it recommends I do. I noted that while such a tool would be considerably cheaper than a human consultant, its ongoing companionship would represent a steep drop-off. Thankfully, he agreed. Quick sidebar here. After contacting multiple international manufacturers of high-quality, non-billiard 8-balls of the magical variety, it turns out this type of customization is surprisingly expensive. As a consultant, I am still more expensive than a magic 8-ball for leadership, but the gap is smaller than I expected, so good news there for me. Anyway, my client's suggestion of the leadership magic 8-ball led to a digression. Now, what's the name of the thing inside the 8-ball, he asked, and how many sides are on it? Google dutifully spat out the answers. It's called an icosahedron, I said, then spelled out the new addition to my vocabulary, a word that would surely impress at my next dinner party. It's got 20 different sides. 20 is way too many, my client said. Let's just identify the first principles of leadership, the bare essentials that would serve any leader in any situation, including this one I'm facing right now. We discussed this and we ended up narrowing the list to the following. Number 1, you are owed nothing. Number 2, deliver value first. Number 3, it's not about you. Number 4, give credit. And number 5, take blame. You are owed nothing. Self-entitlement is hardly an affliction reserved for the young. Leaders at all levels must remain vigilant against this subtle disease. In coaching construction leaders and listening to myself, I've learned there's one common phrase that indicates we're forgetting this primary rule of you are owed nothing. The phrase is, it would be nice if that person responded to my email. It would be nice if that client expressed appreciation for the way we went above and beyond at no charge. It would be nice if my son put his phone down and talked to me more on our drives to baseball practice. You want to beware, it would be nice if. I've found I think this a lot. I say it in my head, and this is arguably more dangerous than saying it out loud. It's a gateway to self-entitlement, and self-entitlement is a disease. You are owed nothing. Now, number 2 is deliver value first. Thoughtfulness and generosity are always in short supply. When leaders like you model this behavior first with teammates, customers, and suppliers, it grows. Insights on human behavior become clearer when we combine the two. You are owed nothing. Deliver value first. But how? Well, while you're thinking, it would be nice if that person responded to my email, the person you're contacting is thinking, hey, he's calling for purely self-interested reasons. There's no value for me here. While you're thinking, it would be nice if that client expressed appreciation for the way that we went above and beyond and didn't charge them. Meanwhile, your client's thinking, we're one of his biggest customers. He should be going above and beyond for us, and he should be doing it more often. While I'm thinking, it would be nice if my son put his phone down and talked to me more on our drive to baseball practice. Meanwhile, my 12-year-old's thinking, Dad, these drives to practice are turning into monologues on your perceptions of self-discipline and accountability that you didn't listen to and you didn't act upon when you were 12. So yeah, I'd rather watch TikTok. And Mom, she's just more fun. She plays good music, and that's why I prefer her to drive me to practice. Now, all three of those obviously are just random, hypothetical examples, not something that I'm dealing with, of course. So let's move on before I start crying here.
And the cat's in the cradle and the silver spoon, little boy blue and the man on the moon. When you're coming home, Dad, I don't know when, but we'll get together then.
All right, knock it off. I'm working on it. So deliver value first. Now, there's two important points here. If you cannot explicitly state the value you deliver, you are probably not delivering enough. And number two, you do not define the criteria of the value you deliver. Your customer does. Now, this leads into a different topic altogether, one we will review in more detail on an upcoming podcast episode about innovation in the construction industry. But companies and leaders often fall into the trap of believing we define the value criteria. We don't. The customer does. Because when we do, we overserve some customers and we underserve others. So what does this sound like? Well, the former sounds like this internally. For all the value we deliver for this guy, all he seems to care about is price. Here, you are defining the value criteria. It's quite possible the customer does only care about price. He sees you as a commodity and believes there are low switching costs between you and your competitors. Now, the latter sounds like this externally. We'd work with this company a lot more if they were able to simply start doing A, B, and C, or simply did A, B, and C more consistently. If they did, I'd happily pay them more money if they could do it. So yes, deliver value first, but make time in your schedule to validate each and every one of the elements of value with your customers. It's not about you. The neural highways of the human brain are paved with personal self-interest, but miles of new roads are opened every day. The default question of what's in it for me can be replaced by what's in it for them. Myelin, the protein-based insulating sheath that wraps around nerve fibers, speeding the response capability in your brain, is generated rapidly with consistent use. The more you remind yourself it's not about me, the more immediate that response will become. But know that you're initially fighting human nature. And while human nature is not undefeated, damn it, it is a formidable enemy. Setting your own wants and needs off to the side and clearly answering what's in it for them is more than an abstract suggestion, a good idea for leaders and managers and especially sellers to consider. It's an imperative. It's not about you. It cannot be about you. Everything that really matters in life only comes your way once you remove yourself from the center of attention. When we choose to live by the credo, it's not about you. It opens up the possibility to more accurately separate and understand the person and the situation. This happens to be the title of an incredible, yet dense, book on biases, influence, persuasion, and the curious, irrational species known as Homo sapiens. Malcolm Gladwell, the author and podcaster, wrote the foreword to the book, The Person and the Situation. Here's what he wrote. When we perceive the actions and intentions of others, we tend to make mistakes. We see things that aren't there, and we make predictions that we ought not to make. We privilege the person, and we discount the influence of the situation. The only reliable method to free oneself to think deeply about someone else as a person and the unique, ever-changing context they find themselves in, their situation, is the recantation, it's not about you. Now, moving on, my wise friend and 5-time guest on the Construction Leadership Podcast, episodes 3, that's right, number 3, 30, 137, 268, and 361, Mr. Timothy Rethlake once said these words to me. I can explain leadership in 4 words. Give credit, take blame. Now, anyone who knows Tim Rethlake, they will understand the seamless transition to 2 other similar characters, Warren Buffett and Jocko Willink. Give credit. Warren Buffett, the most successful investor of all time, consistently deflects praise as he shines the spotlight on his longtime number 2, Charlie Munger, and the leaders of the businesses they acquire. Here's a quote. Berkshire has been built to Charlie's blueprint. My role has been that of a general contractor, with the CEOs of Berkshire's subsidiaries doing the real work as subcontractors. You can buy a book that has collected all Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway's letters to shareholders from 1965 to 2014. You can flip open nearly any page in that book and you'll read about Warren bragging on someone else, giving credit to someone else that works for him. For example, I flipped open to page 171. It's the 1985 letter. In the middle of the page, Warren is giving credit to Ralph Shea, the CEO of some company named Scott Fetzer. Here's how Warren Buffett gave credit to Ralph Shea. Explaining his interest in acquiring the company, he wrote, an equal attraction at Scott Fetzer is Ralph Shea, its CEO for 9 years. When Ralph took charge, the company had 31 businesses, the result of an acquisition spree in the 1960s. He goes on, talks about the World Book Encyclopedia, which he loves, and then he says, Ralph's operating and capital allocation record is superb, and we are delighted to be associated with him. Now, if you're Ralph, the subcontractor CEO at a company named Scott Fetzer, how do you feel about getting recognized in a shareholder letter by none other than Mr. Warren Buffett? Now, I flipped randomly to page 391. It's the 1997 letter. And in one paragraph, I don't know, maybe a couple hundred words, he brags on like 5 different people talking about Geico. He recognizes Don Worster and Rod Eldred, who he describes as amazing, Brad Kinsler, John Kaiser, Don Towell. In aggregate, these 5 operations recorded an underwriting profit of 15.0%. The 2 Dons, along with Rod, Brad, and John, have created significant value for Berkshire, and we believe there is more to come. This is what giving credit looks like, and I can only imagine these guys, the 2 Dons, and Rod, and Brad, and John, these guys want to run through a wall for Warren Buffett. So give credit is number 4. Number 5 is take blame. John Jocko Willink Jr., retired Navy SEAL who earned a Silver Star, Bronze Star, and Meritorious Service Medal, consistently absorbed blame as he served our country. It's the thesis of his best-selling book on leadership, Extreme Ownership. So what's so extreme? It's the assertion that any true leader must take ownership of any and every outcome, good or bad, regardless of circumstance. Willink and his co-author, Leif Babin, write, on any team, in any organization, all responsibility for success and failure rests with the leader. The leader must own everything in his or her world. There is no one else to blame. So my client recited the list. Number 1, you're owed nothing. Number 2, deliver value first. Number 3, it's not about you. Number 4, give credit. And number 5, take blame. I know. For a quick and dirty top 5 list, it's not bad, he said. It's a far cry from my dream of a leadership 8-ball, but it's clarified the decision I have to make. You know what I could do? I yelped, seizing a germ of an idea my team would surely roll their eyes at later. I said, we could engrave these on an enlarged wooden die. The phrase is, they're short enough. Enlarged wooden die? What? My client said, and his confusion was reasonable. The singular form of dice, I explained. 2 dice, 1 die. I can make you a leadership die. There's a pun in there somewhere, he noted. Leadership die. My eyebrows danced. This thing might have legs. But, he said, there's 6 sides on a die, and we only have 5 leadership affirmations. I like that word. Well, right, I said with a sigh. The 6th side will have our branding, obviously. Ha! See affirmation number 3, Hartman. It's not about you. Despite our interest, our ambition to control as much as we can in our pursuit of effective leadership, our reach will always exceed our grasp. There's too many variables in play. There's too much randomness in life. Luck, after all, is the flip side of risk. So we do the best we can. We control what we can control, starting with our emotions, and we bear in mind the relationships we build in this industry will be remembered and valued long after anything else. And no, there's no magic in our little wooden cube, but our hope is that this little idea can help you in some small way keep rolling with whatever life throws at you and your team as you keep the dream alive. So as some of you listeners may know, we actually made this leadership die that had these 5 leadership affirmations on it. You were owed nothing. Deliver value first. It's not about you. Give credit, take blame. And the 6th side does, in fact, have our branding on it. So we shipped many of these out to our friends and some listeners. We also posted this stuff on social media, as did many people who received it. So if you did not receive one of these wooden die, and you'd like to, that has these leadership affirmations on it, well, we have reserved 10 of them. It comes with a box. It comes with a little pamphlet to explain it all. And of course, it holds this customized wooden die. So if you are interested in getting it, we will ship it to you 100% for free. And it's not even one of these fake free giveaways you'll hear about where someone says, oh, you know, my book, it's free. You just gotta pay for shipping and handling. And the shipping and handling is $19.74. That's not free. That's tricking your customers. We're not going to trick our customers. At least not we're going to do it here. Okay. What we're going to do here is I'm going to ship it to you 100% free. However, there is something you need to do. All you need to do, very simply, is to post to Instagram or send to us no shorter than 30 seconds, no longer than 59 seconds. Although, to be honest with you, we're flexible here. Create a short video of you sharing one insight that you have gotten from one guest on our podcast. That's it. So hold the phone up to your face or have someone on your team hold the phone while you just go into a little bit of detail about one guest we've had on the show. Again, it's not about me, right? Leadership affirmation. It's not about you. So we've had lots of amazing guests on the show who've shared a ton of insights. All you need to do is post one video either to Instagram or send us the video saying, hey, here's an insight we got from someone. Now, if you're listening and one of your colleagues was on the podcast, that's fine. Use that one. Or if you were on the show and you say, you know what, I was pretty awesome. I gave a lot of value and I want one of these. Fine. I don't care. But that's all you need to do. The first 10 videos we get, we will ship these directly to you. We'll get your address. You will not pay a nickel. And I'd be thrilled to have you share them. And quite frankly, what we're trying to do is grow our audience and share the news of the amazing guests that we have on as they try to help our industry build more productively, safely, and profitably. So that is all you have to do. If you'd like one of these leadership die with the leadership affirmations, you are of nothing. Deliver value first. It's not about you. Give credit and take blame. That's all you need to do. This episode is brought to you by Paradigm Estimate, a technology-driven takeoff service that gives you the speed, accuracy, and consistency it takes to win more bids. Spend less time on tedious takeoffs and more time on what counts the most, growing your business. Check out Paradigm Estimate at myparadigm.com/Bradley. All right, my friends, that's all I've got. We're going to close out naturally with our leadership mantra. You, my friend, are owed nothing. Deliver value first. Make it a great week.